Hi, Mr. Jones. This is Grace and Michael's presentation on air pollution. So, to start off, some facts about air pollution and how it affects our environment. So, air pollution is a mixture of solid particles and gases in the air. It is in the form of carbon dioxide and methane, and that raises the Earth's temperature. So another type of air pollution is then worsened by increased heat, and this is known as smog. And smog forms when the weather is warmer and there's more ultraviolet radiation. So smog and soot are the two most prevalent types of air pollution. So smog, which is also known as ground level ozone, occurs when emissions from combusting fossil fuels reacts with sunlight. And then also there's soot, which is also known as particulate matter, and soot is made up of tiny particles of chemicals in the form of gases or solids that are carried into the air. These chemicals are dangerous and can penetrate the lungs. The long-term effects of air pollution can include heart disease, lung disease, and respiratory diseases. So some more facts about air pollution is that most air pollution is created by emissions in factories, cars, or planes. And these are known as the man-made sources of pollution, and they are called anthropogenic sources. And then other types of air pollution occur from smoke from wildfires or ashes from volcanoes, and these sources are called natural sources. Global warming is an effect of air pollution, and that comes from both anthropogenic and natural sources. And global warming is rising air and ocean temperatures around the world. Also, air pollution can cause acid rain, which is a harmful precipitation containing nitric and sulfuric acids. So now, moving on to the chemistry of air pollution. So there are two different types of pollutants, and that is primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. So primary pollutants are the pollutants that are injected into the atmosphere directly, and then the secondary pollutants form when primary pollutants react in the atmosphere. So some of the main primary pollutants are carbon monoxide, which is a colorless poisonous gas, and then carbon dioxide, which is a colorless gas produced by burning carbon, and then sulfur dioxide, which is formed during the burning of fossil fuels, and then ammonia, which is a very soluble colorless gas with a strong smell. So then, moving on to the main secondary pollutants. So one of them is called ground level ozone, which that is formed by chemical reactions between nitrogen oxides and volatile compounds. And then also acid rain, which is formed when sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide react in the atmosphere. And we can go back and we can remember that acid rain is a harmful precipitation containing nitric and sulfuric acids. So then the last one is nutrient enrichment, which are pollutants that contain nitrogen. And nutrient enrichment increases the availability of nitrogen for plant growth, and this can result in changes in habitat and loss of species. Okay, and now here is our video demonstration and experiment.
This is Michael and Grace's experiment for air pollution video demonstration. The materials needed for this experiment are tinfoil, a mason jar, a little cup of water, a strip of paper, and a couple ice cubes, and a lighter. So first things first, the first thing you want to do is get water and pour it into the container and splash it around, causing for the container to be wet. And then just dump out the excess water into the other container. And then the next thing you want to do is put this tinfoil cap on, seal it tight, and throw just a couple ice cubes on the top of the tinfoil to allow the air molecules to become cold. And then the next step is you're going to want to get your little strip of paper and fold it up into this tight spiral, just continuing that. This just allows for the fire to catch on a little easier and for it to be a little more dense so the fire has more time to spread to the rest of the paper. And the reason why that we put the ice cubes on top of this mason jar full of water molecules on the inside is to allow the air and the water to cool while we are folding this piece of paper. And so once you have this piece of paper nicely tightly wrapped up, so it should look like this. And then once you've done that, you're going to take your lighter and you're going to light this piece of paper on fire. So we're just going to see how it is burning. And then you're going to, oh boy, throw the piece of paper on the inside of the jar, seal the container, and then throw the ice molecules back on top and just seal off the jar. Just preventing a fire. And so now you will see that the container is slowly starting to condense, full of smoke. Just turn it ever so slightly. And you can see how the ice molecules are kind of cooling the whole smoke on the inside, or air pollution. And so the purpose of this experiment is once you light that piece of paper on fire and put it into the mason jar, the heat heats up all the air molecules, or the water molecules that are inside the jar, and it heats it all up and causes it for it to evaporate. And then once that evaporation happens, the water molecules have nowhere to go because they're contained by this lid. And then the ice molecules on top condense those water molecules, making them form this thick, dense smoke inside the jar. And you can even see some of the smoke and water molecules hitting the bottom of the can. And that is our video representation of air pollution. Thank you for your time.
So this concludes our presentation on air pollution. And here are our sources, and we hope you enjoyed our presentation.